1954, Wheat Penny, the copper crown of America's hidden fortune. There are coins that were made to be spent, and then there are coins that were made to be remembered. The 1954 Wheat Penny belongs to the latter, a humble 1-cent piece that carries with it the whisper of history, the heartbeat of post-war America, and the shimmer of copper that could change a fortune overnight. Though small in size, this coin holds an extraordinary legacy that reaches beyond its face value. For collectors and dreamers alike, it is a reminder that sometimes, the simplest objects hold the power to transform destiny. The year 1954 was a time when America stood tall, a nation recovering from the hardships of war, stepping confidently into an age of prosperity and innovation. The factories that once forged weapons now produced cars, radios, and homes filled with new possibilities. Amid this era of optimism, the Denver Mint struck millions of 1954 wheat pennies marked with the small yet proud D mint mark, right below the date. These coins flowed through the hands of everyday Americans. Factory workers, shopkeepers, schoolchildren. Yet no one could have guessed that decades later, a few of these same copper cents would become treasures worth small fortunes. At first glance, the 1954 D penny might seem ordinary. But its beauty lies in its simplicity. On one side, you see the steady gaze of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of freedom and perseverance. His profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, had already graced the nation's cents since 1909, a full 45 years of unbroken respect by the time the 1954 penny was struck. On the reverse, 2 wheat stalks frame the proud words, 1 cent, and United States of America, an image that embodies hard work, harvest, and hope, the very ideals that built the country. This was no ordinary year in coinage history. The 1954 D penny was part of the final generation of America's iconic wheat cent series, which would soon give way to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. That transition marked the end of an era, the close of the wheat-backed chapter that had carried the nation through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the rise of a global superpower. Thus, every 1954 D penny serves as one of the last echoes of that golden age of craftsmanship and simplicity. What makes the 1954 D wheat penny so fascinating is not just its history, but its mystery. While millions were minted, only a handful have survived in perfect uncirculated condition, coins that escaped the scratches of pocket change and the corrosion of time. These few, glowing with their original red copper brilliance, are now considered rare treasures. In mint-state grades, their value multiplies exponentially, and some are known to fetch prices that could easily shock anyone unfamiliar with the world of numismatics. Even more thrilling are the error coins, those rare accidents of the minting process that transformed ordinary cents into miracles of metal. Some 1954 D pennies were struck off-center, double-die obverse, or on planchets meant for other denominations. These minting anomalies are considered divine accidents, the kind of errors that make collectors' hearts race and auctioneers' hammers fall with thunderous applause. A flawless or unique error coin from 1954 D could sell for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on its uniqueness and condition. The copper used in these coins also carries deep historical meaning. Each 1954 D wheat penny was composed of 95% pure copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition that links it to America's earliest coinage traditions. The color of these pennies, that warm, glowing reddish-brown hue, is the color of history itself. When you hold one in your hand, you're holding the same elemental material that coursed through the veins of American industry, the copper that built wires, circuits, and the very engines of progress. The Denver Mint, where these coins were produced, was a powerhouse of precision in the mid-20th century. Located in the heart of Colorado, it represented the frontier spirit of the West, bold, efficient, and unyielding. Each D mint mark stamped on a 1954 penny was a badge of authenticity, a silent declaration that this coin came from the backbone of America's minting legacy. And though millions were made, perfection was rare. The smallest imperfection, a touch of uneven pressure, a misalignment, could turn a penny into something truly priceless. Collectors often describe the 1954 D wheat penny as a coin with a soul. It has character, a sense of time, struggle, and triumph embedded within its copper shell. Each one has a story, perhaps once carried in a soldier's pocket, or tucked away by a grandmother who believed in saving lucky pennies. Some were forgotten in coffee tins or attic jars for decades, waiting patiently for rediscovery. When found today, their luster, history, and rarity make them seem almost magical, as though fate itself had chosen to preserve them for a future moment of wonder. In numismatic circles, high-grade examples of the 1954 D penny, especially those graded MS67 red or higher, have reached extraordinary prices. At auction, such coins have sold for thousands of dollars, and those with unique errors can be worth far more. Yet, beyond the market value lies a deeper truth. This coin represents a piece of American heritage, a tangible connection to a time when every cent truly mattered. It's worth remembering that in 1954, 1 cent could still buy something: a gumball, a postage stamp, or a handful of candy. But today, that same penny can buy dreams. For some lucky collectors, discovering a pristine or rare variant of the 1954 D Wheat penny has led to financial windfalls. Life-changing moments when a forgotten coin turned out to be worth a small fortune. It's no exaggeration to say that this little copper disc can, quite literally, change one's fortune overnight. But perhaps the real magic of the 1954 D Wheat penny is not in its market price, but in what it represents. It's a relic of faith in hard work, of the American promise that from humble beginnings can come unimaginable success. The wheat stalks on its back remind us that abundance begins with patience, and that even the smallest seed, or cent, can grow into something mighty. As the decades pass, the value of this coin continues to rise, not just in dollars, but in significance. It tells the story of America's golden mid-century, a time of optimism, craftsmanship, and pride. It reminds us that history is not always found in books or museums, but sometimes in the palm of your hand, disguised as a simple penny. So if you ever come across a 1954 D Wheat penny, don't spend it, don't toss it aside. Study it. Treasure it. Because within that small circle of copper lies a legacy of hope, a century of craftsmanship, and the quiet promise that fortune often hides in plain sight. That penny, glowing softly after 70 years, could be the spark that turns an ordinary day into a moment of destiny. The day when a simple coin becomes a key to untold riches, and a piece of American history finds its way back into the light. Next up, the 1944 no-mint mark Wheat penny, the copper king that could change your destiny. In the grand story of American coinage, few coins carry as much mystery, power, and timeless allure as the 1944 Wheat penny with no mint mark. Born during one of the most turbulent eras in history, this humble 1-cent piece stands today as a symbol of endurance, craftsmanship, and unexpected fortune. To the untrained eye, it's just a small copper coin. But to collectors, dreamers, and historians, it is a hidden treasure. A coin that can whisper tales of war, victory, and prosperity, and perhaps even change a life overnight. The year 1944 was one of transition, courage, and hope. America was deep in the Second World War, and every resource from steel to rubber was devoted to victory. In 1943, the U.S. Mint had made the bold decision to strike pennies from zinc-coated steel instead of copper, saving the red metal for military use. But when the public complained that the steel pennies looked too much like dimes and rusted too easily, the Mint returned to copper in 1944, using recycled shell casings from battlefields to create the new coins. The result was not just currency, but history cast in copper, infused with the spirit of a nation at war and on the verge of triumph. The 1944 no-mint mark Wheat penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, became a product of this remarkable transformation. It was the first year back to copper after the steel experiment, and its metal composition tells a story unlike any other. A story of bullets turned to coins, of war giving way to peace. The copper in these pennies once roared through the barrels of cannons and rifles, only to be melted, purified, and reborn as the money that fueled America's post-war dreams. Every 1944 penny carries that legacy within its shining red surface. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin's imagery is as powerful as its history. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's calm and noble profile reminds us of unity in times of struggle, his gaze fixed firmly on the future. On the reverse, 2 wheat stalks cradle the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, symbolizing growth, labor, and prosperity. The wheat design, so simple and elegant, reflects the strength of a nation built on hard work and faith, ideals that carried America through its darkest hours. While millions of these coins were minted in Philadelphia, not all were created equal. Some emerged with astonishing precision and luster, their copper glowing with a fiery brilliance. These are the gems of the numismatic world, the flawless survivors that collectors chase with passion and reverence. A pristine 1944 wheat penny, untouched by time and graded at the highest level, can be worth far more than its face value. Thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. To find one is to hold a piece of pure history, preserved in perfection. But the real magic of the 1944 penny lies in its rarities and hidden variations. Although the Philadelphia Mint produced the largest share, a small number of coins were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943, a rare and dramatic minting error that resulted in the legendary 1944 steel penny. These mistakes, forged by the chaos of wartime production, have since become some of the most valuable coins in American history. Even a single 1944 steel penny can command hundreds of thousands of dollars. But even without the steel variation, the pure copper 1944 Philadelphia issue remains one of the most iconic and sought-after coins ever struck. Every collector knows that the no-mint mark 1944 wheat penny is more than metal. It's a message from the past. It connects generations. From the workers who filled their pockets with these coins during the war to the collectors who now treasure them as relics of resilience. It's a symbol of rebirth, of copper transformed from weapons to wealth. Each coin tells the story of American industry, spirit, and survival, echoing the heartbeats of a nation that refused to break under pressure. The Philadelphia Mint, with its long and proud history, was the original birthplace of American currency. Founded in 1792, it had already survived wars, revolutions, and depressions by the time it struck the 1944 pennies. The absence of a mint mark on these coins signifies purity, the original source of U.S. coinage, the foundation of the mint system itself. When you hold a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny, you hold the essence of American minting tradition in its truest form. Collectors often describe the beauty of these coins in poetic terms. The way the copper tones shift under light, from golden orange to deep red to warm brown, is like watching the sunset of the 1940s. Each shade tells a story. A penny that gleams bright red is one that never saw circulation. One with chocolate tones has lived a full life, exchanging hands through the bustling markets and busy streets of post-war America. Both have value, both hold meaning. Over the decades, the legend of the 1944 wheat penny has only grown. Stories of lucky finds, a jar of coins in a grandmother's attic, a random discovery in pocket change, a dusty bankroll that hid a gem, have made this penny the stuff of dreams. Some coins, in exceptional condition or with rare features, have sold for enough to buy cars, homes, or entire collections. It's a coin that can truly change your fortune overnight, not only in money but in the thrill of discovery itself. Yet beyond price tags and auctions, the 1944 penny endures as a piece of living history. It speaks of a time when every American contributed to a common cause, when even a penny carried the weight of sacrifice and pride. Its copper content, drawn from recycled military materials, binds it forever to the generation that fought and rebuilt the modern world. That's what gives this coin its soul, its power to inspire awe and reverence decades later. The design of the wheat penny ended just a few years after this coin was minted, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That makes the 1944 issue one of the final shining examples of Brenner's original vision. It bridges the gap between the old America of hardship and the new America of hope and prosperity. When collectors look at a 1944 penny, they don't just see copper. They see courage, art, and rebirth all fused into one perfect circle. If you happen to own a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny, treasure it deeply. Look closely at the details. The wheat lines, the clarity of Lincoln's features, the soft glow of its copper body. You're not just holding a coin, you're holding a fragment of American spirit. You're holding the proof that beauty and value can emerge from even the hardest of times. Today, in the numismatic world, the 1944 wheat penny remains a timeless favorite. Its charm never fades, its story never grows old. Whether found in a dusty coin jar or proudly displayed in a collector's case, it reminds us of a golden truth, that greatness often hides in the smallest things. So, if fate ever places a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny in your hand, don't rush to spend it or trade it away. Hold it up to the light. Feel its weight. Let its history sink in. Because that little coin, born from the fire of war, reborn from the copper of victory, may just hold the power to change your fortune forever. It is the Copper King of America's coinage, and its story is one that will outshine the centuries. Next up, the 1956 no-mint mark Wheat Penny, the last flame of an American legend. In the timeless journey of American coinage, few treasures glow with as much enduring warmth as the 1956 no-mint mark Wheat Penny. It may seem like a simple copper coin at first glance, a relic of small change from a bygone era. But beneath its humble surface lies a story of pride, craftsmanship, and quiet power. For collectors and dreamers alike, this penny is more than money. It is a messenger from the past, a final echo of a design that defined the American spirit through wars, recoveries, and revolutions of industry. The year 1956 marked the twilight of an era. The United States was basking in the golden glow of post-war prosperity. The country had emerged victorious from World War II, the economy was booming, and American families were thriving in ways that had seemed impossible just a decade earlier. Suburban homes were rising, cars gleamed in driveways, and the penny, that little piece of copper, was still the foundation of every transaction, the silent companion in every pocket. And among them, the 1956 Wheat Penny, struck without a mint mark at the Philadelphia Mint, was a shining emblem of that age of optimism. To understand its magic, one must first grasp its legacy. The Wheat Penny design had been born in 1909, created by the gifted sculptor Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was revolutionary, the first U.S. coin to bear the portrait of a real person. On one side, Lincoln's calm and determined face gazed into history. On the other, 2 wheat stalks framed the denomination, a symbol of hard work and harvest. For nearly half a century, this design became one of America's most beloved, a reminder that every cent carried not just value, but meaning. By 1956, however, the winds of change were stirring. The nation was modernizing rapidly, and so too would its coinage. Just 3 years later, in 1959, the familiar wheat design would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, ending one of the longest and most cherished chapters in American coin history. That makes the 1956 Wheat Penny one of the last of its kind, a final flame before the torch passed to a new era. Collectors regard it as a farewell letter in copper, a coin that carries the echoes of all the decades that came before. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced the 1956 no-mint mark pennies, had been the heart of American coin production since 1792. By the mid-1950s, its presses were operating at full force, striking billions of coins to meet the growing demand of a booming population. Yet even within this sea of copper, not all coins were the same. A rare few emerged with exceptional sharpness, flawless surfaces, and fiery luster. Pennies so beautiful they seemed almost alive. These high-grade survivors, often preserved by chance rather than intention, now rank among the most valuable in existence. The composition of the 1956 Wheat Penny remains a romantic detail in itself. Forged from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, it carries a warmth and richness that modern coins no longer possess. When freshly minted, it shimmered with a deep reddish-orange hue, a metallic sunrise in miniature. Over time, as the copper aged, the coin's color mellowed to shades of brown, crimson, and auburn, each tone telling a unique story of the hands it passed through and the decades it endured. That is the true beauty of the Wheat Penny. No two are ever quite the same. While millions were minted, what sets the 1956 no-mint mark Wheat Penny apart is not just its abundance, but its symbolism. It represents the final steady heartbeat of the pre-modern minting era, the last years before coin production became fully industrialized and the artistry of the die engravers began to fade into history. This was still a time when design mattered, when detail was a craft, and when the coins of the United States carried soul as well as substance. Some 1956 pennies, through quirks of the minting process, display fascinating errors and variations. Double dies, off-center strikes, and other anomalies that were born from the mechanical chaos of mass production. These mistakes, though unintended, have become treasures in their own right. A double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the date appears slightly doubled, can turn an ordinary penny into a small fortune. Collectors love these accidents of history, for they transform a coin from common to legendary. But even without errors, a pristine mint-state 1956 Wheat Penny, one that has never circulated, never dulled, can command astonishing value in today's coin market. Graded examples with fiery red luster are highly prized. To find one untouched by time is to hold perfection, a relic of the 1950s preserved in its original brilliance. It is no exaggeration to say that a top-quality 1956 wheat penny can make its owner feel like they've discovered a hidden crown among ordinary coins. Beyond price and rarity, however, the 1956 penny carries emotional weight. It was born in an era when pennies still mattered, when children filled piggy banks, candy cost a single cent, and people measured value in small things. It was a time of hope, invention, and expansion, and this coin was part of that rhythm. Every 1956 penny jingled in the pockets of soldiers turned fathers, workers building homes, and mothers tending to families in the golden age of America. Each one, in its own small way, participated in the making of modern life. There is also a poetic contrast within it. Though made of copper, the same metal used in the wartime pennies of 1944, this coin was not born from the fire of conflict but from the calm of peace. It symbolizes a nation healed, prosperous, and confident. The copper in the 1956 penny was not salvaged from shells or weaponry. It was mined for creation, not destruction. And in that, the coin stands as a symbol of rebirth and stability, a silent monument to how far America had come in just a decade. For coin collectors today, the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny holds a special place, not because it's the rarest, but because it's the most nostalgic. It bridges the old world and the new. It reminds us that greatness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers from the palm of your hand. That tiny circle of copper holds within it the memory of Lincoln's enduring wisdom, the craftsmanship of early American minting, and the heartbeat of the 20th century itself. And who knows? In the strange twists of fate that define the coin world, one exceptional example, perfectly preserved, beautifully struck, glowing with red fire, could indeed be worth a small fortune. It's happened before, and it will happen again. That's the magic of numismatics. A penny can change your destiny if it carries the right story. So, if you happen upon a 1956 wheat penny without a mint mark, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Look closer. Feel the weight of its history. See the faint glimmer of copper that has traveled nearly 70 years to meet your gaze. It is not just a coin, it is time itself, pressed into metal. It carries the legacy of Lincoln, the artistry of Brenner, and the soul of a nation that believed even the smallest things could hold infinite value. In that quiet, enduring glow of copper, the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny stands as a reminder that fortune, history, and destiny can rest in the palm of your hand, waiting, perhaps, to change your life forever. Next up, the 1957 D wheat penny, the final flame of copper greatness. There are coins that shimmer with value, and there are coins that shine with history. But few combine both as powerfully as the 1957 D wheat penny, a copper masterpiece born in the last heartbeat of America's golden minting age. At first glance, it may look like just another old cent, but hidden beneath its humble surface is a story that weaves together the nation's heart, its artistry, and the human spirit of endurance. The 1957 D wheat penny is not merely a coin. It is a message from the past, whispering tales of resilience, prosperity, and the power of belief that even the smallest piece of metal can hold unimaginable fortune. By 1957, the United States had found itself standing tall in an era of confidence and expansion. The echoes of World War II had faded into memory, and the American dream was in full bloom. Suburbs were rising, families were thriving, and the heartbeat of the nation pulsed with invention and optimism. Amid that prosperity, a simple copper penny carried the face of one of history's greatest leaders, Abraham Lincoln, the man who had held the Union together in its darkest hour. It was more than currency. It was a tribute in copper to courage and unity. The 1957 D wheat penny, struck at the Denver Mint, carried a small D beneath its date, a letter that now carries enormous weight in the world of numismatics. That D signified the Western Mint's craftsmanship, a mint known for precision and power. The Denver Mint produced millions of coins that year, but among them lie hidden gems, near-perfect strikes, brilliant uncirculated pieces, and those rare, flawless examples whose fiery red copper glow remains undimmed even after decades. These are the coins that collectors dream of finding, for within them lies the spark of rarity that can transform ordinary metal into a symbol of untold wealth. The design of the 1957 D Wheat Penny was already legendary by the time it was minted. Created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday, the design had become an icon of American identity. The obverse, with Lincoln's noble profile, captured the quiet strength of a man who guided a divided nation toward freedom. The reverse, adorned with two wheat stalks curving like open arms around the words 1 cent, was a poetic nod to growth, labor, and harvest, the ideals that built America. Together, these two sides made the wheat penny a coin not just of commerce, but of conscience. But by 1957, time was catching up with tradition. Change was on the horizon. The following year, the U.S. Mint began preparations for a new design, one that would replace the wheat stalks with the Lincoln Memorial. Thus, the 1957 D issue became one of the last wheat pennies ever struck, the final torchbearer of an era that spanned nearly half a century. Collectors see it as a closing chapter, a final salute to the artistry of America's early 20th century minting. Every 1957 D penny is a farewell letter in copper, signed by history itself. The composition of the coin itself adds to its mystique. Each 1957 D Wheat Penny was forged from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich, warm glow that modern coins lack. Unlike the dull silvery tone of today's zinc cents, the 1957 D carries a natural fire, a reddish brilliance that deepens with age, much like antique gold. This copper is not just metal. It is a conductor of memory, a vessel that has carried the story of millions of American lives through 7 decades of change. Though billions were struck, only a handful have survived in pristine condition, untouched by time, never circulated, never scraped by pocket or counter. Those specimens, especially ones graded as MS 67 or higher, are treasures in the coin world. Their surfaces gleam like mirrors, and their color dances with a deep, vibrant red. For such coins, collectors will pay astonishing prices, sometimes thousands of dollars for a single penny. It is a perfect irony. A coin once worth 1 cent now capable of transforming its owner's fortune overnight. But what gives the 1957 D Wheat Penny its true magic is not just its grade or rarity, it's the emotion it carries. This coin represents the last quiet days before a monumental change in American coinage. It bridges two worlds, the age of craftsmanship and the dawn of mass production. Every 1957 D penny is a link to a simpler time, when the copper in your pocket was mined from American soil, shaped by American hands, and carried the face of the president who symbolized equality and hope. The Denver Mint, in 1957, was a place of industry and precision. Workers there struck coins with the rhythm of machines, yet each die was still prepared with care and pride. Occasionally, a die would produce a slight variation, a double die, a faint misalignment, or a slightly repunched mint mark. These minting quirks, born of human touch and mechanical imperfection, have since become golden tickets in the world of collectors. Some of these error coins, nearly invisible to the naked eye, can now command enormous sums. They are the hidden stars of the 1957 D series. Proofs that even in perfection, a touch of flaw can create beauty and value. Holding a 1957 D Wheat Penny is like holding a memory frozen in time. It has passed through generations, through pockets of farmers, workers, soldiers, and dreamers. It may have jingled in the hands of a child buying candy, or in the drawer of a shopkeeper counting change. Each mark, each tone, each soft shine tells a human story, a record of the ordinary lives that built the extraordinary history of a nation. And for all its humble beginnings, this penny carries a spark of destiny. The stories of collectors finding rare high-grade examples in old jars or forgotten drawers have become part of coin folklore. It is a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight, that even something as small as a penny can hold the power to change one's life. For some, the discovery of a perfect 1957 D has indeed been the turning point of a lifetime, proving that the past rewards those who pay attention to its whispers. The 1957 D Wheat Penny also serves as a symbolic mirror to Abraham Lincoln himself. Lincoln rose from modest roots to monumental legacy, and so too has this copper cent risen from small change to great worth. It embodies Lincoln's message that value is not determined by size or appearance, but by integrity, endurance, and purpose. Just as Lincoln united a divided nation, this penny unites generations. the old and the new, collectors and dreamers, historians and everyday people. Today, when the modern penny has lost much of its magic, cheapened by zinc and mass production, the 1957 Wheat penny remains a beacon of authenticity. It reminds us of a time when every coin was crafted with dignity, when even a cent carried weight, warmth, and meaning. It's a coin that refuses to be forgotten, and like a sleeping ember, it continues to glow beneath the dust of time, waiting for the right hands to rediscover its fire. So if one day you find yourself holding a 1957 Wheat penny, don't overlook it. Take a moment to feel its history just be holding a coin that could rewrite your fortune, not only in wealth but in wonder. In every gleam of copper and every whisper of time, the 1957 Wheat penny stands as proof that greatness often hides in the smallest places. It is a coin of hope, history, and hidden power, a reminder that even a single cent can carry the weight of a nation's story, and perhaps the key to changing your destiny over